Well, last night was the debate that we've been all waiting for since the last debate.
What?
Anyway, it was the battle of the VP picks. J.D. Vance out of Ohio versus Tim Walz out of Minnesota.
Can't afford 4 more years of this.
And, yeah, not a good night for Tim.
Oh no! Anyway, last week...
I'm Jasper Gonzo, and this. Afterwards, Tim decided to stop at his local pharmacy to pick up some Tampax because, quote, I was feeling a little heavy, end quote.
He ain't lying. What the fuck?
And it's what's next. Hey, happy Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jasper Gonzo. What's next? A daily dose for you. Common sense, facts, and salt. Hope you guys are feeling good today. Well, you might have missed something last night. I don't know, you might have been washing your hair, doing the clothes, you might have been mowing the lawn. But there was an actual debate that occurred last night. No, it wasn't Trump versus dementia. No, it wasn't Trump versus cackling Kamala. It was J.D. Vance versus Tim Walz. Now, you might have thought to yourself, okay, this should be interesting. And interesting it was. While JD was as cool the other side of the pillow, Tim, on the other hand, was drenched and was in need of a tampon. But here we go. This comes out of New York Post. Tim Walz, staggered by cool as ice, J.D. Vance admits, I'm a knucklehead during the debate. Minnesota Democratic Governor Tim Walz stunned watchers in Tuesday night's vice president debate as he nervously fidgeted, frowned, and even called himself a knucklehead, because he knew he was going to get smoked. Anyway, while his Republican counterpart, J.D. Vance of Ohio, gave a steady and lawyerly presentation and was widely seen as the victor, not if you ask CNN, the largely good-natured forum, hosted by CBS, featured two candidates agreeing with each other and repeatedly expressing warm personal sentiments, avoiding the blistering personal attacks that were part of both presidential debates earlier this year. Walz, 60, who was honed and folksy demeanor in the campaign trail, was noticeably nervous and misspoke repeatedly as he wrung his hands, took frantic notes, and his eyes darted around the CBS studio. That's how he looked the entire debate. Deer in the headlights. Love it. Answering the very first question of the night, Walz expressed concern about the expansion of Israel and its proxies instead of Iran and its proxies. When asked if he would support a preemptive Israeli strike targeting Iran's nuclear weapon facility, the Minnesotan ultimately didn't answer the question, with Vance, 40, saying that he would leave the final decision up to Israelis and support them regardless. Solid. Walz, who said he seemed nervous, and an hour later, declaring, I become friends with school shooters, when he seemed to mean victims during an answer about gun control. I'm not in favor of being friends with shooters. That's just me, anyway. Vance responded amicably and expressed his regret that the governor's son had witnessed a shooting at the Minnesota Community Center. The Democrat stumbled again, and what would be the most replayed moment of the debate, when he was asked about fresh reporting that lied about having been in Hong Kong during Tiananmen Square massacre in the spring of '89. Just like getting medals, stolen valor, being deployed. Oh my gosh. And using a loaded weapon. Look, I will be the first to tell you, I've poured my heart into the community, Walz said during a rambling initial response. I try to do the best I can, but I've not been perfect. I'm a knucklehead at times, but it's always been about those same people electing me to Congress for 12 years. Basically saying that Minnesotans were knuckleheads for voting for you. Well, there you go. Nice. Co-moderator Margaret Brennan pressed the governor, just to follow up, can you explain the discrepancy? Walz, visibly shocked and dismayed by the blunt follow-up, grudgingly claimed that, quote, I got there this summer and misspoke on this, just like he misspoke on everything else I mentioned just a while ago. Neither Vance nor the moderators raised Walz's allegations embellishment of his military exploits, which I would have done, used the fertility treatments to help his wife conceive children, despite Republicans focusing on both in recent weeks. Walz at one point praised Donald Trump's running mate for giving viewers the conversation they wanted to hear about the future of the country in an apparent reference to civility of the debate. Vance, who spoke about his mother's struggles with opioid addiction while urging greater U.S.-Mexico security borders, about his grandmother sometimes turned off the heat in the winter to save money, stood the most to gain from showing amiably. In one of the best received answers, Vance recalled that someone, very dear to me, had an abortion in the past and confessed to him she felt like she had it They felt if she hadn't had that abortion, it would have destroyed her life because she wasn't in an abusive relationship. Interesting. Vance, who had been asked about Republicans' abortion policies in the past, used the story to pivot to the GOP's tickets proposals to make fertility treatments free and improve home affordability. When pressed by the co-moderator, Nora O'Donnell, on his appearance to distance himself from the proposed federal abortion ban after 15 weeks of pregnancy, Vance cited his own state's pro-abortion rights outcome in the 2023 referendum. We had a referendum in 23, and the people of Ohio voted overwhelmingly, by the way, against my position. And I think what I've learned that, Nora, is that we got to do a better job at winning back the people's trust. So many young women who would love to have families, so many young women who have seen unplanned pregnancies as sometimes going to destroy their livelihood, destroy their education, destroy their relationships, and we've got to earn their people's trust back. And that's why Donald Trump and I are committed to pursuing pro-family policies, making children care more accessible, making fertility treatments more accessible, because we got to do a better job, and that's what real leadership is. That was a very interesting answer he gave last night to it. To me, it was more like to try to save face, maybe a dodge. The Republican entered the debate with more negative appraisal than the public. Gee, now really? With 10.3% deficit in his own favorability ratings, according to Real Clear Politics average of recent polls, versus Walz plus 2.5% favorability rating. Excuse me. It appeared to pay off handsomely, with venerable pollster Frank Luntz finding that his 14% focus group of undecided voters across 7 battleground states, 12 concluded that Vance won the debate. Again, that's Walz for you. That's pretty much how it was the entire night. And that too. Other commentators gave a similar SSO to two men. Dems are fortunate presidential debates tend to matter a lot more than VP debates, wrote Dave Wasserman, senior editor of elections and analysis at nonpartisan Cook Political Report. Walz looked rusty, nervous. Maybe he should have done some press interviews to better prepare, tweeted Washington Post columnist Josh Rogan. Noted that the relative sparsity of Walz's media engagements. Yes, he's had one, and that was with Kamala Cackle and that clusterfuck. 15 minutes in, it was clear that Walz was not doing interviews was a big mistake. He's nervous, and JD's comfortable because he's been doing adversary interviews a day since he was picked, since day one, since he was picked, Breaking Point's co-host, Saigar Enjeti. Veteran political commentator Chris Cillizza, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, formerly of CNN and MSLSD, wrote towards the end, Vance is winning the debate. He's clearly the best debater of the 4 candidates running for president or vice president. His abortion answer pivot was masterful. Walz was fine, not really, but uneven. His answer on the lie that he was in China during Tiananmen Square was awful. Watching the debate last night, the Tiananmen Square comment from Tampon, yeah, that stood out. Again, bullshit. He bullshitted again. Just like he lied about his military record. Just like he lied about practically everything else. But let's not focus on how he and his wife stood there and watched Minnesota burn, because of an untimely death of one St. George Kirby, that launched the wonderful Summer of Love in 2020, in case you all forgot. But anyway, this debate, you knew from the beginning Vance was going to come out and he was going to stomp a hole in him, pretty much. But he did it with calm, coolness, a lawyerly fashion, as it was stated in the article. Cool like the other side of the pillow. Now the abortion comment, like I said, more like a dodge. It was a definite pivot, no doubt, but a dodge nonetheless. The fact of the matter is that when you had governors who were implementing their own pro-life policies, the second Roe burned automatically triggered them in half the states in the country. But I didn't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that, But let's not forget that Donald Trump slammed, Republican governors for enacting their own policies, triggering their own policies. He jumped all over DeSantis for his, I think it was 6 weeks, 6-week policy regarding abortions. Anyway, but I might be wrong. So next time if I'm wrong, please comment below. But to cite his own state, and he's right, they had it in a referendum. And instead of Ohio voters coming out strong for a pro-life stance, they failed. They failed their state miserably instead of protecting life, which, of course, JD said was against his position. But anyway, with the overall debate, Vance clearly won. He clearly dominated in every form and fashion. And, of course, Walz looked clownish, buffoonish, stumbling, bumbling, fumbling over everything. He's not Tampon Tim for nothing. And with that being said, I'm Jazz Borganzo. This is What's Next. Want to see more like this? Please leave a comment below. Like it, share, subscribe to it. Hit that notification bell so you guys never miss a thing. Continue spreading the word about the show. Appreciate you guys watching as always. And we'll see you next time. Peace.